Hi folks, welcome back. And we're continuing on with cleaning the data. We've looked at typing errors and conversion issues. Now we want to take a look at precision issues, zeros and missing values, illegal values, and then we'll have another video after that on issues with common question types. Okay, so let's take a look at the precision errors, and let's just go over here and take a look at this. Now, when we take a look at this question back here, which is what is your height in centimeters, multiply your height by 2.54 to obtain the height in centimeters. And again, this is an example of a bad questionnaire. You shouldn't have it set up this way to begin with. As well as what is your weight in kilograms, divide your weight by 2.2. This is the kind of goofy thing that you end up with, is you end up with numbers which look like this. So when you think about that, we're talking about centimeters to the third decimal place. So that's 1,000th of a centimeter. That's a level of precision which is just kind of goofy. I mean, you can take a big breath, and you probably change several of those thousandths of a centimeters. And that's that's a level of precision which it just doesn't make sense. The same thing over here when we're talking about weights. So I've got one down here. Well, maybe it's further on up here. Yeah, this one right here. I should have had this actually colored yellow. And so we're talking about a 10,000th of a kilogram. And that's probably also about the same as if you were to take a deep breath, you'd weigh more. And so that's goofy to talk about that. So when I take a look at these ones, I think we should have actually have inputted this and set this up so that this is rounded to a level of precision which makes sense, probably to the nearest centimeter. In terms of kilograms, you could go to the nearest half kilogram here, but it looks like a lot of people have put these in as integers and so on, so I would probably take it to the nearest kilogram, and that's probably going to be sufficient in terms of what you need. Obviously, if you are doing a survey for a physical education or something like that, fitness center and so on, you might be interested in half kilograms in that particular case. But if in our particular case, we're probably just interested in to the nearest kilogram. So how do you fix that? Well, what I would do here is I would add in a column here. So insert, and I'm going to do the same for weights. Insert. Remember, you don't want to sort this thing at this particular point, because if you sort it, well, let me show you what happens. If I go to sort this, according to respondent number, let's go up here and sort. This stuff changed, but this stuff didn't. So it's all messed up now. Here's that orange line here. Let me undo that before any further damage is done. I'm just going to go back down here and make sure that that line is all together. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so it's really important that when you add a new column that you immediately give it a label. So I'm actually going to call this just height, because I'm going to replace this one with this new column. And this one I'm going to call weight, like that. Oops, this will be consistent here. Okay, now what you can do here is you can use a round function. So equals round, and we're going to take that number there, and we're going to round it to 0 decimal places. You could use an integer function, but what you want to do is actually round it, so it rounds up or round down to an integer value here. So round d4, comma 0. And so that makes it 157. I'm going to copy that all the way down, like that. Okay. And then what I like to do here is, if this is the form that I like this in, then I don't want to keep this as a function here. I actually want to get rid of that original column here. So this is what you do. You highlight the column. It's right now it's already highlighted, right? So all the numbers are highlighted here. And I'm going to copy it. So right click, copy. And then I'm going to do a paste special. So I can either go up here to the Home tab and choose paste values, or alternatively I can do a right click here and choose paste special values. So a paste special values. And the nice thing about that now is that these are now just numbers. And so I don't even need this column anymore right here. I'm just going to do a quick check. I'm just going to go down here. Do we have any yellow cells? Oh, I should change this to an orange. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking in the background. I don't know what she's upset about. Okay, good. And then the other thing I do is I would probably just take these guys here and I would copy them over and paste them here. I'm going to do the same over here with weights. Right now they say 0, but we're going to clean those up. So the weights, I'm going to do the same thing. So again, make sure you're at the very top here, right? So this is, I go to the label itself and then just go down one. And in fact, let's go and actually sort by respondent number, just to make sure that I'm at respondent number 1 here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so equals round. In this particular case, it's F1, 0. And copy that all the way down. Let's see, I've got this guy here. Yeah, so this is a problem here, is that 69.4008 will change now into just a 69. And so we won't have that problem anymore. Okay, and then while it's highlighted, right click, copy it, right click, paste special values. And then when we go up here, you'll see that this 69.4008 is now just a 69. And so we've changed these all now to integers. Everything looks great. I should color the sky orange. And if you take a look up here, you'll see that these values are the same now, just as these values are the same over here. Okay, so I can now get rid of those original goofy columns. So this height one, I'm going to get rid of that, delete it, and I'm going to get rid of this weight one. Just right click on the letter at the top here and delete. And now these are nice and clean. So I've fixed up the heights and the weights on that one. By the way, just reminded me that, remember over here we were working on the incomes and I said that I would clean this up afterwards. Let me just sort this one here. So it was by income, and so we sorted that. And I've highlighted these guys here because when I put in zeros, they came as dollar signs. And then when I typed in 10,000, it wasn't a dollar sign. That doesn't make any difference in terms of any analysis, but you can certainly highlight these and go up to here, the number format here, and just change that into general. And so that'll get rid of the dollar signs there. All right, oh, let's get rid of the yellow as well. And then down near the bottom, I said that instead of wasting time here in a lab video, what I would do here is just simply finish off these last ones. So the 45,000 is the midpoint between 45 and 50. And then this last one is 50,000 or more. So what I do is I just follow the pattern. So these were, if you take a look at the pattern here, with the exception of the very beginning here, which was 0 and then 10,000, after that it jumped to 25,000, 35,000, 45,000, and then so the last one we would just say is 55,000. So I've already done that. I'm just going to get rid of the yellow here, and we've now cleaned that one up there. Okay, let's see where we're at here. So we've talked about precision then, rounding the height and the weight to something more useful, and let's now take a look at zeros and missing values. So if we take a look at the weight, remember up here we had the minimum was 0. So let's just do a sort here. And what you see is at the very top here, whoops, that didn't work. There we go. At the very top here, we've got this 0. Now it originally was yellow in the other cell, but we've got this 0 here, and you can't have a weighted 0 here, so we're just going to delete that. That should have actually just been a blank, that somebody didn't answer that question. Now we've got a minimum of 45 kilograms, a maximum of 81 kilograms. That sounds pretty good. What happened? What happened to my max function here? I'm sorry. Let's just do that. Not sure what happened there. Okay. So there's my max and my min. I'm just going to copy that across there. Yeah, not sure what happened there. But anyways, it should be okay now. So we take a look at this, and we've got our weights now go from 45 up to 120. Our heights are fine. We're good. Now, here's the case where we've got siblings, and let's just sort that. And we've got some that go from 0 up to 9, and then we've got a blank. So let's take a look at that. First of all, a blank is not a problem. That just simply means that somebody didn't answer the question. So we can just leave that blank. When you are calculating means and standard deviations and all that kind of stuff, it'll just ignore that. All right? But you always want to ask the question, is 0 a legal value? And in this particular case, it is. You can certainly have 0 siblings, so that's not a problem. It is a problem, though, when we take a look at some of the other variables. Let's take a look at TV ratings. So in TV ratings, you'll see that we've got, movie ratings. We've got a minimum here of 0. So let me just do a sort on that one. And so we've got a couple of zeros there, and you can't have a 0. Now, if you ask people to actually write in a number there, in this one, so in here it just simply says, how would you rate last year's TV shows, last year's TV movies? Again, this is a bad question. You want to clean this up a lot. But some people would put down 0, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have not answered the questions. It just means that they think they're really bad. In that particular case, I would change them to 1s. If they actually put in a 0, I would put it in as a 1. If they put in 11, I would put that down as a 10. So let's go here then and just change these to 1s. And again, you want to take a look and see actually what did these questionnaires say. So go to respondent number 80 and 42. If they were blank, then of course they should be left as blanks. So we've cleaned those guys up there. So that's zeros and missing values. I think that's about it. I don't think there's any others there. Let's take a look at some illegal values. So the pulse rate, we've actually already talked about that one. When you do a sort in this particular one, I think we've cleaned that one up. So remember, we had an 18 and then we had an 800. We've cleaned those guys up. There is a blank here. That's not a problem. That just means that they didn't answer that particular question. Okay, let's go back over here to section. In fact, let's just kind of scroll down here each one and see what we've got. So this particular person put down don't know for their section number. I would just make that a blank. Okay. And we look down here, and for gender, we've got down here a neither. Now, the thing about gender is that that is actually something which would be considered to be a legal answer. And so you might want to actually keep that the way it is here. You won't be able to use that in analysis, like say a test of independence, because there's only one. But you also want to honor the fact that the person put down a neither, so it's not the same as a blank in this case. Now you could change that to an N in this case and just recognize that you have one, which means neither. Okay, some of the other ones here, I'm just going to scroll up here, and I've got a Y. Now this was for the question, are you right-handed or left-handed? And so somebody actually answered yes, they did. So you want to take a look at response number 24 and see, did they actually type in yes or put down Y? And if that's the answer, I would just get rid of it. Okay. Down here we've got gender. We've cleaned that one up, so we're good on that one. I think I want to get to this one in a moment, but let's take a look at this one here. So when you ask for eye color, which is what is the color of your eyes, this is really important that you give them categories. You give them categories like brown, green, blue, hazel, and so on like that, because if you have them like this, they will put down things like dark brown. So what I would do in that case then is I would just change that to brown. What else do we got here? We've got a brown green, and that's actually a hazel. So I think we're okay with the rest there. Okay, that just leaves a couple of problems that we need to look at here. So legal values, half values in scales. This is a really common problem here. So if you take a look at this one here, we've got somebody put down 6.5 on their 1 to 10 scale for a movie rating. So this is really, really common when it's a questionnaire where you've got it filled out. If this were, of course, Google Forms, then you force them into particular numbers. But if you ask them just to write it in, then it's very, very common to get half values in that particular case there. So what do you do in that case? So one thing you could do is say, well, that's a legal value, so I'm just going to get rid of that and make it blank. However, you've actually got information there. You've got good information. You don't want to keep it as a 6.5. You want to change it to either a 6 or a 7. Which one? Well, what statisticians do is they don't always round up or round down. What they do is they actually alternate in this particular case when you're dealing with half values. So the data entry people, what they'll do is they'll have a coin beside them on the desk. And when they start off, it might show a head. And so the first time that you come across a half value, you look at it and you say, what does my coin say? It's a head. Okay, a head means round up. So I'm going to change that to a 7. And then what you do is you flip the coin over to a tail. And so the next time you come to a half value, you look over, it's a tail, and that says, okay, round it down. So you only do that with half values. If it's something like 7.2, of course, you would round that to a 7 and so on. But that's actually a really good way of handling that kind of thing so that you don't end up with an upward bias or a downward bias, but you end up with values which are all legal there. I think we are pretty good with those first several columns here. Let me just check and see if there's any colored cells here. Oh yeah, there's this guy here, and that's an illegal value here. We've talked about that particular one. That likely was that they just simply had a 1 there and forgot to press the tab there. Go back and change. We are going to change that into a 1 because that's what the survey said. And if they actually typed in a 16, then I would take it out, or I guess you could put in a 10 there. Usually when people are saying they're really, really good, they would put in an 11 rather than a 10. A 16 is just kind of goofy, so you might want to take that one out there. But in this particular case, then it was actually a 1, and I just forgot to push the tab there. So we are good on that. I'm going to end the lesson right here, and then what we'll do in the last bit is we'll take a look at these other specific kind of questions, the ones that are not the check one only type questions here in particular. So let's end the video. At this point, we have looked at the typing errors, the conversion issues, the precision issues, the zeros and missing values, the legal values, and now we'll take a look at issues with question types in the last video. So let's end it here.